What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I've got my buddy Colin here. We do the Metz Talk podcast together. We've got his beautiful 2023 Hyundai Ioniq 6 here and my beautiful 2024 Tesla Model 3. We're going to be directly comparing these two models. Now, basically how it's going to work is we're going to talk about both of the exteriors, hop inside each of the cabins, and then we're each going to take each other's car on a test drive and talk about the things that we like, things we don't like as much, and then at the end we'll wrap it up of why we chose our specific vehicles. Maybe this will help you guys inform your decision if you're looking at picking up one of these very popular electric sedans. Let's get into it. But before we start, I do want to clarify the specs on both of ours. So you have the SEL trim,
correct,
which is one away from the top spec.
Right. The mid trim.
The mid trim. And this is Onyx Black.
Yep.
Dual motor all-wheel drive.
Yep.
About 270 miles of range.
About that.
320 horsepower. Somewhere around 450 pound-feet of torque, right around there.
It's super important to know that number because I do tow a lot.
Yeah.
In this.
Yeah, for sure. It's very important to know that torque. But you've got Onyx Black, 20-inch wheels, and anything else specific to the SEL that is important, or?
Not really.
And then for the price tag on this SEL Ioniq 6, it's right around 50,000,
Right.
a little under 49,865 thereabouts. So over here for the Tesla, this is the base model Tesla that you can buy. It is the rear-wheel drive variant. There are only two options currently available, but the ludicrous version is coming soon. It's been already leaked, and there's been some driving footage around. But so far, you just have the rear-wheel drive and the all-wheel drive dual motor. This just has a single motor in the back, about 270 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque out of that rear motor. And this one was 38,990. And it doesn't really have a lot of special features or anything. I got the base wheels. These are 18-inch Photon wheels with the aero caps.
I was going to say, those help.
Yeah, they definitely help with range. About 272 miles of range. So I got a little 2-mile boost on you there in the rear-wheel drive only. About $10,000 more expensive, but this is the dual motor all-wheel drive, so it's going to have that. So that's pretty much the exterior specs. Let's just talk about some of like the details on the front of each of these vehicles.
In the grand scheme of things, pretty similar. You
Yeah.
know? Like they've got the EV stylings that you expect. There's no sort of front intake. You don't have that sort of thing. They do.
Well, you kind of do, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. They've got these.
The cooling vents.
The active cooling vents. These will open up if the battery needs to be cooled.
Is there a way to do that manually, or does it do it on its own?
I don't think so.
So they got rid of, in 2024 on the Model 3, they got rid of the fog lights that used to be down here on the previous, outgoing generation there, but they left the big mouth here open to let your battery cool off if need be. Yours, like you said, you can't actually see them right now, which is cool. They close up when not needed, and then they'll open up if need be. Yours also, I notice, has the ultrasonic parking sensors, which is a hotly debated topic in the Tesla community because Tesla went and removed them in lieu of what they call Tesla Vision. Yeah. So they just use cameras. So there used to be 3 cameras. There are now just 2 cameras up top. Then you have one on each of the sides of the wheels, one on each B pillar, and then one in the back. And all of those work together to help with all of your, what they call high fidelity park assist, which is hit or miss, I'll say that much. But full suite of LED headlights on both, which is great. Yours kind of actually adopt more of that old school Tesla look, like the previous generation, kind of more of the what they called like frog-like.
Yeah, they're pretty big clusters.
But talk about like the design on it. Like, I mean, you've got a really unique.
You've definitely talked about this before. They've really adopted this sort of pixel style.
Yes.
Where everything is sort of squared out and kept in these nice grids. All throughout here. There's even some light look of it up here, in there. I mean, all over the inside of the vehicle too.
And they do the cool little kind of the shades around the actual light itself is cubed as well. A lot of like strong corners and angles.
Really consistent.
Oh yeah, they've got that design language, and it has a very distinct stance when in the dark. When you see it coming, like you know. So over on mine, they got rid of the kind of fish design or the frog design where it kind of came up to here. And kind of intersected.
Yeah, I love the look of these new headlights.
They almost look like they're squinting, like the normal headlights were squinting.
Yeah.
Very aggressive. And I like that they didn't follow the curve all the way down, but they kind of like popped it up right here just to give it an extra little something. And they are matrix headlights, so they're adaptable. They have the auto high beam, obviously, but then also overseas currently, because it's not technically legal yet here, but it is coming. They're going to be able to shut off portions of the light to block out so you don't blind oncoming traffic, but you can still leave your brights on. So some cool technology there for sure. Hopefully we get that. Pretty simplistic designs up front though overall, I think. You either love or hate this very minimalist design, which carries out through the whole cabin. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's a reaction to a lot of other ICE vehicles, you know? You just have to have so many things in the front that it's almost like a flex in an EV to be, we don't need anything.
Yes, it's just to have it be very smooth.
Just the body.
It doesn't rely on excess geometry and things to make it be like cool and aggressive. Like it just relies on sleek
What's
body
cool about
lines
it is that it's sleek. It's is that it doesn't have anything.
Exactly. And they did the same thing with the badging, like very simplistic, just chrome badgings on both. Yours is a little bit more satiny than chrome, but let's talk Frunks. So can you open them?
Yeah.
I'll use my app because I don't have to get in the car.
Oh, wow. Now that's a Frunk.
That is a Frunk.
That is
what would you call this?
This, you know, I feel like the fact that I don't know how to open it says a lot about how often we use this thing.
So I had to actually look up the dimensions of the Ioniq 6 Frunk because
I appreciate that you did that.
When I made my video, when I did my full review, when you let me borrow it, I laughed out loud because it's nothing, right?
It's nothing.
Why do you think they have this?
You know, at least it's better than just leaving a plastic cap over the whole thing.
Which GM is definitely doing.
Right. They could have said, you get nothing.
Yeah.
And you know what? I wouldn't have been that bothered by it because I think the rest of the car has enough storage space.
It absolutely does.
But
half a cubic foot of trunk space there. Whereas over here on the Tesla,
you could fit a suitcase in there.
I can fit my orange camera crate in here. So it's actually functional. This is 3.1 cubic feet of space, and I could open it with my app, which that's great.
Very cool stuff.
Which I don't think you would need to be able to open this in any other way.
Yeah, no.
I don't know how much you're going to be using it. So I think point to Tesla for the Frunk.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's, you know, like I said, I can put my camera case in here, which makes it actually practical for me.
Right.
I've used it when I've gone to the grocery because it is like I did put an all-weather liner in it, but it still is like plastic and rugged. So you could still put, you know, something that could potentially spill or something like that. It's not carpeted. So it's great for that, you know, quick grocery run, just tossing it in there, and I really like it. The only thing that I don't care for, which sucks, is that it is not a power Frunk, which you have a power tailgate on both these models, which is awesome, but not having a power Frunk on any Tesla, I think outside of the Cybertruck. I think the Cybertruck is a powered Frunk, which it's decently large.
That is interesting.
The only thing that I don't like.
They expect you to use it a little bit more. Why not give you a power Frunk?
And it is power unlockable.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't open or close. So like I mentioned a minute ago, I have it used to have 3 cameras. You can actually see all 3 of them there, but there's only 2 that actually work. One's a dummy camera now. Are there any cameras in the front of yours?
I don't think so. I mean, it looks like they're...
That probably is what they use for the safety, like the highway drive assist camera.
Yes.
But not one you can actually see out of, but you can get that on the Limited because it has the 360 view.
Just the backup camera on there.
Okay, just the backup camera. Full glass roof over here. You cannot open it. No roof, right?
No.
But you can get on the Limited. It has a bigger panoramic roof. We talked about the wheels. You've got 20-inch aluminum alloy, 2-tone wheels. There are technically wheels behind here that look okay. And you could,
the aero caps do add a lot. I mean,
they add a lot, and the 19-inch actual wheels, they don't have caps. Those drop your range by 30 miles.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's not worth it to me to pay that extra money to lose that range. So aero caps don't bother me, but if they do bother you and you want to pick up a Model 3, they can pop off. You can replace them with aftermarket covers or just replace your wheels altogether. And then are these power folding?
No.
No power folding here. Okay. But you do have the turn signals here, which keep that same pixel theme. I don't have turn signals on my mirrors, but there is a little turn signal right here. So kind of same difference there. Your door handles, they actually auto-present.
They do.
So I like that auto-presenting. I think that's nice. And they have the same kind of Tesla mechanism as far as opening them, but these do not auto-present. So you have to put your finger in every time. and then they pop out and you
Yeah.
grab them, but they don't stay popped out.
It's not too bad. It's a natural movement.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling too. They
Yeah.
feel
They feel
pretty
solid. Yeah, for sure. That's one of the things that they definitely improved in 2024. Frameless windows here, so they kind of drop down, and then when you close them up, they'll close back up. All right, so here in the back, kind of that pixel theme really takes hold.
Yeah.
And this whole section here, right, is your brake light, basically. And then your turn signal. Oh, there you go. You get a little taste. And this also, is this your brake or reverse?
Yeah, this is third brake.
Third brake?
Yep.
So this has the Pixel Theme 2 on it. One of the big things that they changed from 2023 to 2024 on the Model 3 is these taillights used to be split right at the trunk line. So when you'd open the liftgate, it would take half the taillight with it.
Yeah.
Whereas now it takes up, the whole taillight is on the liftgate. So when you lift it up, you have to have lights that people can see, if you're on the side of the road or something along those lines.
Right.
So when you lift the tailgate up, these actually turn on down here.
Oh.
So you always have some kind of light down there to
Yeah,
let people
yeah.
know. But now that we've got both of the trunks open, they're obviously both full of stuff. I've got all my camera gear back here. You've got all of your gear,
That's a generous way to put it.
all of your stuff. One of the big kind of, I think, pluses for the Model 3 is the cargo space. I think where you get a plus in passenger volume in the back, the Tesla gets a plus on cargo space. You have 11 cubic feet of cargo space. I've got 21 over here.
Wow.
So they are both the kind of saloon style trunk.
Right.
It's not, not a hatchback style. Do you have underfloor storage as well, or looks like there's room for half of a spare tire? So
Well, that's all you need.
another one of the big improvements they made on the Model 3 for 2024 is it used to just have a single piston to raise the liftgate, and so people would get these kind of misaligned liftgates
Yeah.
from the way it would close, but now they added two pistons, so you get a more secure lifting experience, and it has a nice satisfying beep now, where it used to be
Yeah, I
kind of
like that.
cheap sounding.
I like that. Speaking of cheap sounding,
It's not terrible.
it's not too bad.
Overall, just intricacies of the backs of the vehicles. Yours has a whole heck of a lot going on.
It does, yeah. Speaking of that minimalism up front, we've exchanged that out in the back.
That's true, and that was, when I did my full review, that was my biggest complaint about the look of it. It seemed like a lot to me, especially with this piece here.
Right.
That was my big kind of standout point. If they took that away, just black sheet metal here, and then had this stuff, I would be like, there's a lot going on here, but it's evened out a little bit by the simplicity of the top. But that you have this, you have this, you have this, and then you have the diffuser that's all segmented up. Feels like a lot going on, whereas obviously over here, we carry that minimalism down where you just have nothing but this kind of plastic diffuser at the bottom. Some people like it, some people hate it. One other thing I was gonna say is, you have a physical key fob.
I do.
I don't. They do give you the little key card, right? But I love just using my phone and not having to carry car keys. That is the dream setup. Let's go ahead and take your car for a spin first. All right, so we're starting off in the Ioniq 6. Now, I've driven this quite a few times. I know, I got it. I'm smart. I've driven this quite a few times. Not only yours, but the one we also had on the lot. So I'm a little bit used to it. But you haven't driven my car before.
I have not.
So that'll be an experience. But this is my first thought. It has taken me a while after having no stalks. It's taken me a while to get used to having stalks again.
Yeah.
It's weird how quickly your brain can kind of adjust.
Yeah. I don't know. The stocks are classic. We've always been doing stock
I know, that's why I don't like them.
for the past 70 years, it feels like. Probably longer.
So I definitely notice, like right off the bat, your acceleration pedal is way more sensitive than mine.
Yeah.
You really got to give it some juice.
This is in normal mode too.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, drive mode button here. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it is way more sensitive. Mine, you actually have to fully give it, it feels heavy, but not slow, just heavy.
Right.
Whereas this feels very jumpy and quick and zippy, which is nice.
It always defaults, even if you've got it on iPedal mode, it'll default back to level 3.
Okay, so that's max. That's my pedal. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely tell the sensitivity. I'm just gonna. I mean, that's just insane, bro. That is insane.
It is a very fun car to drive.
So that's in sport mode. That's basically just best torque curve you can have.
Right.
Just right off the rip. We'll do it again here. I mean, it absolutely flies. And it's so sensitive. You said you normally drive in normal
I
mode.
normally drive in normal. Only because sport mode, if you are like doing city driving, it's too much.
Too sensitive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll accidentally take off from things that you
Yes.
don't intend to.
I can definitely see that. But I mean, it is just such a smooth, quiet, impressive, clean cabin.
Yeah, that's probably my number one thing, I think, is just how good the interior is. And that's something that I'm pretty like invested in having be good, because if you're doing a lot of driving, like you want things on the inside to be accessible.
For sure.
You want them to be, your muscle memory can pick up how to get there and what do I need to be able to see. And there are fewer physical buttons in this than I would like, and that's something that we've talked about before. But
well, prepare yourself.
Yeah.
Like I've been daily driving my Tesla now for 3 weeks now, and I'm not used to having a screen in front of me. Like that's weird. I'm used to looking at nothing and then kind of using my peripheral vision here to look over to my right to see what my speed is and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So having an actual 12.3 inch display right in front of me and then another 12.3 inch display right here, it's different. It takes a little bit of getting back used to.
Yeah, do you think it's a little more distracting?
I don't know. I don't think so. Like when you get used to doing something a lot over and over and over again, and then you strip that away for a period of time, then you're like, what? I didn't need that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You realize like, yeah, having these gauges and displays and all this vehicle information is helpful, but you don't have to have it right here.
Yeah.
Like, and most of it you don't ever even look at. And I mean, having, all of the buttons, like my steering wheel has buttons on it, but mine are kind of, they're not touch capacitive, but they look and feel kind of touch capacitive.
Right.
They don't have kind of their own individual areas that you click. But other than that, I mean, obviously not having the stocks is weird on mine. It took just a hair of getting used to, maybe like a day of getting used to. But overall, I mean, the build quality in the cabin is just incredible. I like all of the accents and things that they do. There's a little more plastic on the door panels and things down at the bottom. And I mean, this is not by any means, like you do get, some of those tax credits and things, but this is not by any means a cheap car.
Yeah.
Like you have no soft touch at all on the door panels.
Yeah.
It's all, hard plastic. There is some over here, but you don't have any really significant sound dampening either on the door panels. But I still think, regardless of that, the cabin's very quiet.
It's a pretty quiet ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Some of the stuff that they, like, you can tell that compromises were made.
Yes.
Compromises are going to be made on pretty much any car.
Sure.
So that's what's interesting, is like figuring out which things do you care about personally, which things are you willing to compromise on. I understand what you mean completely. Like some of the materials are not as nice as they could be. 2 cars before this, I had a BMW, and that's all the materials in there. Some of them were really nice. It had aged a bit, and so some of them had sort of experienced that aging and were rubbing off and things like that. But you can tell when the actual choice of materials are nicer, are more expensive, are better.
For an example, Subaru, right? They go with what feels like the lowest quality materials in almost all of their cars, and I think they do it for like rugged feel, but it ends up feeling more cheap. This doesn't feel like that. While the materials might not feel that premium, they still are uniquely colored, uniquely textured. Like you can still tell they put time and thought and effort into it.
And that's what I'm talking about with the compromises. The things it doesn't bother me so much that the materials are plastic and at an objective level just are cheaper materials, because I know that the money that went into, or the money that was saved in doing cheaper materials, they spent on better design.
Sure.
Spent on making it a fun car to drive.
Yep, absolutely. And
that's, I guess, where I'm at in terms of priorities.
What do you think about the seating surfaces? Is there anything you would do different or change, or do you find them completely comfortable and usable?
I like them a lot. There are times where I kind of wish there was maybe even a little more bolstering, especially like you were saying, if you're whipping it around a curve or doing something like that. Just because of the smoothness, I guess, of the leatherette, it's easy to feel like you're slipping out of the seat.
Sliding a little bit, yeah.
But other than that, I mean, very nice to sit in, easy to clean.
Yeah, talk about the ease of cleaning, because I think a lot of people, when they see, a light or gray or white interior, they kind of panic a little bit. Like, if I get a smudge on it or if I get a scuff on it, like, how is it going to come out?
Yeah, no, there's been nothing that I felt like this is going to be something I have to look at now forever.
Yeah.
Like it's a very easy vehicle to keep looking clean. And that comes in with the design. Like you have very contiguous surfaces that you can just sort of wipe down and it'll be okay.
What about the infotainment? Like, what are your main takeaways? How much do you use
In terms
of it other than...
in terms of the Hyundai infotainment, not a lot.
Okay.
I appreciate that there's a lot there. You looked through it and you've talked about it before, just how customizable everything is in this vehicle. I think somebody made the comparison of kind of Tesla, and I guess we'll see when I get in, Tesla being sort of the Apple thing, where if you're happy with just taking it as it is and something that is well designed and you're just gonna experience it like the developers and like the designers intended you to, works great. Hyundai is a little bit more towards the Android thing, where we aren't sure what you're going to want, so we're just going to give you settings for everything.
Sure. Yeah, we're going to give you every bell and whistle. You can play with it.
Yeah.
So your heart's content, or you can never touch it.
Yeah.
But the look is amazing. This is a personal thing because I like this more than you, but they have kind of the new morphism design language, and I love that.
Yeah.
You're not the biggest fan of it, but I think you still appreciate the overall look of it.
Yeah. I mean, just so people know, like, what are you talking about when you talk about new morphism?
It's a hybrid combination of flat design and like three-dimensional design.
Right.
So there's still like real world shading, but on flat, object, more like object oriented design.
And that's a big part of the reason I don't like it. Even though I'm not the biggest fan, I can appreciate that they've taken the time to have a cohesive, singularly minded sort of thing. There's not a bunch of screens that have like clashing ideas of how things should look.
There are some manufacturers, GM, it seems like there are 3 to 4 teams that work on different sides of the world on the same project.
Yeah.
Like you can see it in how much of a cluster the Blazer's been, right?
Yeah.
They just slashed the prices by 20%. The Hyundai design team, you can tell, work in lockstep.
Right.
Because everything on the exterior all fits together really well. Everything on the interior continues that. You've got some of those pixel themes in Morse code on the steering wheel. You've got pixels here. You've got pixels over here up on the vents and all that. Like everything is well thought out. They went, we're going to connect the interior and the exterior together. We're not going to make these be 2 weird separate units. And not only that, we're going to make the infotainment display also reflective of our entire design language. And so for that, I can really appreciate it. I'll do 3 things I like about this car better and then 3 things I like about my Tesla better.
Okay.
So first thing that I like about this car better is the speed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just faster than my car. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. My car's still quick, and you'll see.
Sure. I mean, it's an EV.
It's an EV. Instant acceleration, instant torque. It's fast. This, having that extra 40 horsepower really makes a difference. So I like the speed of your car. 2, I just really like the pixel theme overall. One of the things that Tesla suffer from, which is something that people like about Tesla and also something that it can be a downside, is how kind of minimalist, I say minimalist, other people say bland, right?
Yeah.
It can be a little bland for some. I really like the look of it still, but I really like the pixel theme in yours and how it has all those accents and everything feels very cohesive there. I think the last thing that I really like about yours, I really like how you can actually adjust the regen braking strength. So if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. You can free float, and like you say you do sometimes.
Yeah, if you just want to coast, you can just coast.
And having that ability to do that is nice. You cannot do that in the Tesla. You cannot adjust the regen strength at all. You used to be able to, and you just can't anymore. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but I like that you just quick and easily. I loved having the regen on demand paddle on my Bolt.
Right.
So having, paddles back here that will quickly let you just, I mean, you can feel it just at a roll.
Yeah.
How it grips you when you switch. So I really like that. 3 things I like about my car more. I think the overall build quality and feel of my interior is a stronger selling point. I think like I said, the door materials, like you'll see it when you get in, like everything is squishy and fabric and soft touch, like a vegan leather material, which is really nice. So the second thing that I really like about my car better is that you have perforated seats that have not only just kind of that passive airflow through them, so they feel less sticky on your back when it's a little bit warmer or when the cabin's a little bit hot, but it also has ventilation.
Yeah.
So you can turn those on. Does the Limited have ventilation?
Yeah, I believe it does.
Okay. So you could get that on this. Finally, the last thing that I like is one of the reasons why I picked a Tesla is I just love that full glass roof. I mean, it's tinted so you don't get absolutely fried by the sun.
Right.
But it's still enough light comes through that it just makes the cabin feel huge.
Yeah.
Those are probably the things that I like most about my car versus this. But I'm very interested to see you drive mine for the first time. And is this your first Tesla you've driven?
I don't think so. I think we've had some on the lot that I've driven before.
Okay.
But this will be the first time I'm really looking at it critically.
Yeah.
What do I?
And your first time in the refreshed Model 3
Absolutely.
for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's get up there. We'll switch all the cameras over, hop in, and put Colin in the driver's seat.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get it.
Can't wait.
All right, so what do you think right off the bat?
Right off the bat, it's pretty nice in here.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like you were saying, the materials feel good. It's a little smaller, and you feel that.
Yeah.
I think, especially coming right out of the Ioniq 6.
Yep.
But everything feels pretty well considered.
Do you think the dark interior lends itself to it feeling a little bit more?
You know what? It probably does. Yeah. I mean, first immediate impressions is where are all the things that I'm used to as a driver?
Yep.
And like obviously that's going to be the instinct, but
no stocks.
no stocks. You're just sitting down. You don't have a speedometer.
Like you don't shift, obviously.
Right.
So you have a couple different options.
Okay.
You can use what they call auto shift. This is a beta feature. So if you take your foot off the brake, and then you can just tap it, like tap the brake, and then you just drive. If it knows there's something in front of you, like if we were in front of your car right there,
Right.
it would automatically put it in reverse. If you don't want to use auto shift, you would swipe here on the screen.
Yeah. All right. Don't love it. I'm going to be honest. Only because I don't. It's one, the effect of doing anything on a screen, I think, is immediately like a piece of resistance. It's not something that you can, like, I wouldn't be able to navigate. I mean, maybe if you go from there, but trying to do it with your eyes closed, if you're trying to shift while maybe
Looking at
keeping an
something,
eye
sure.
on where the traffic is coming from or whatever, that
Right.
becomes really hard to do. But it's cool. It's incredibly cool. It makes you think this is the future.
I think ideally what Tesla wants is for you to not have to interact at all.
Yeah.
They want the auto shift to become the standard of doing it.
Right.
What do you think about the camera quality?
I do really like the camera quality. Significantly better than the Ioniq 6. The Ioniq 6 feels a couple years behind even in terms of reverse camera quality. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Heavy steering, which is something that I really like. I wish the steering on the Ioniq 6 were a little heavier. And that's like a personal preference.
Sure.
More than anything else.
And you can definitely feel it. Like I noticed that right off the bat. Because you get used to having the heavier steering, and then when you go to something that has lighter steering, you kind of feel jittery almost.
Yes. Yeah, that's one thing I really liked about my BMW is the steering was super heavy. Because it felt like a direct connection to the wheel. The throttle response feels good just off the rip. It does feel immediate. There's no lag time or anything like that, which I would be kind of surprised if there were. Steering materials are nice. Let's.
So you got your blind spot.
Yeah,
Cameras
that's
there.
nice. Especially, I mean, doing any sort of highway shifting, it is great to not have to check blind spots manually.
You do also have a little blind spot indicator here. It's a little red light.
Yeah.
So. But also, if there is someone in your blind spot, it'll put a red bar on the camera there.
I think an issue that I'm having with it immediately is that it does kind of conflict, and it could be better, or like you could get used to it, but it does kind of conflict with your natural instincts in driving. Like you're used to sort of checking certain places.
Sure.
And then saying, oh, no, don't check those places. It's all going to be here on this middle screen.
But like we talked about with the no stocks thing, once you get used to checking the right place, like your brain has to adapt.
Right.
But once it does adapt, it's pretty good at knowing, hey, this is where I need to look.
I don't mind that you have to adapt, but it is interesting that Tesla is asking you to. Because that's not something, like you don't get into a GM or a Ford or a Hyundai, I guess.
Sure.
And they're like, hey, change the way you drive. It speaks to like a certain level of confidence in design too, to be able to say, we know this is good, and that people, when you get used to it, you'll be able to do as well
Yeah.
this way as any other way. Yeah, I mean, it's an EV.
Yeah.
It's got some acceleration to it, but it is definitely not as
Punchy.
punchy.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, maybe you don't care about that. Maybe you want just a smooth.
But again,
driving
we are
experience.
talking about the rear-wheel
And,
drive
yes.
versus the all-wheel drive
Yes.
dual motor.
Right.
Whereas the 0 to 60 time on the dual motor version of this car is very, very quick, 4.4 seconds or thereabouts. It's still plenty fast for anyone,
Absolutely.
unless you're like an absolute, speed demon, like fiend who
Right.
just needs it. For daily average drivers, this is going to be more acceleration than they've ever felt.
Yeah.
But for you and I, who have been in a plethora of different EVs, and we know that instant torque, we know that instant acceleration,
Right.
you can definitely feel the subtle differences between 270 horsepower and 320 horsepower.
Yeah. We came to that stop, and I tried to
Use a stock?
use a stock.
Yeah.
It is instinctual. You just sort of go for it.
Until your brain learns to
Right.
not use it, and then you're reaching for the buttons instead of the stocks on other cars. What do you think about the visibility?
I like the visibility a lot. It feels like I can see everything pretty well.
And it does give you, renderings of what the
Yeah,
cameras are seeing.
that's part of what I was talking about, I guess, is that it's a thing that you're not used to that is there, that you have to slowly sort of recognize is there and become accustomed to, like, integrating into the way that you think and the way that you drive.
Exactly.
Because this is really useful. Like, it's helpful to be able to just look down at the screen and know the status of where everybody else is without really having to take your eyes off the road. It's something that
More
you can
than just
glance down
it's a
at.
quick glance. It's
Right.
it's a peripheral. It's a an eye movement more
Right.
so than a full head movement.
Right. And to some degree, that's what your mirrors are there to do. But it is doing a lot of the work for you.
Mhm.
You don't have to look in the mirrors and like reconstruct the environment in your mind because you can look down at the screen and they have a nice 3D render of everything that's going on. I mean, everything is extremely responsive in
Oh, yeah.
terms of the design. I would love to spend a day toying around with all of the software that
Yeah.
Tesla has
I
going
mean,
on. Yeah. I mean,
it's unbeatable.
that's impressive.
The only thing that's kind of bothered me a little bit is just how kind of finicky the HVAC controls can be. Like, you have to do everything on screen, or you can use voice commands, which the voice commands actually work pretty well. So I don't mind using them. The temperature changes drastically this time of year.
Right.
So let's say you're in the car during the day and it's 73 degrees, and then at night it's 40 degrees, and so everything's fogged up and everything, and you're trying to defog it really quick.
Yep.
They do let you add like shortcut buttons down here, but like it's like I gotta reach over and I gotta like very specifically hit the tiny little defogger button.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff can be a little tedious, and it's like I'm just gonna use voice controls in that. So I'm just gonna say, hey, defrost the front, defrost the rear.
Yeah, like I understand the impulse of, and this goes with the minimalism of saying nothing on the inside. Moving parts contribute to braking, contribute to increased repair costs, contribute to maintenance, whatever. Let's not do any of that. Let's just do it on a screen, because screens, if it breaks, you just replace the whole thing, and everything is software driven, and it's so easy to update software and blah blah blah. Like those are the reasons why Tesla might be incentivized to do something like this.
Sure.
But humans are humans, and if I could reach down and know that there was a selection of 8 buttons here on the
Yeah.
bottom, and maybe those are rebindable,
Mm-hmm.
like with this setup, but I could just tap a physical button
Sure.
to say, do my default auto climate control, or turn on the seat heaters, or whatever.
What do you think? Fast?
It's fine.
It's quick.
I mean, it's not slow,
No.
but it is slower.
Yes. But also, like, it's important to make the distinction that just because it's slower doesn't mean it's
It
not
is-
extremely fun to drive.
Yes.
Still. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I want to whip it around some corners here to really get a feel for it.
What about, like, the minimalism of the cabin?
It is nice. It is. There's nothing distracting.
Yes.
And also, I mean, I'm driving, so like,
Right.
I don't want to be distracted.
Yep.
Everything feels very solid though. The buttons are nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was
Um,
going to ask you what you thought about the feel of, like, the turn signal button.
Yeah, the scroll wheels are pretty good. They're soft. I could maybe go for them being a little clickier, but like,
They also can pivot left and right,
Mhm.
so you can use them to control things. Like if you hit the windshield wiper button, and then you can use the left wheel to switch the other wheel to actually switch like the strength of the windshield wipers, basically. You got the wipers going.
I've still got the wipers going. I feel a little bit boomer-esque.
Boomer-esque, yeah.
Actually, driving the car is never the best environment to sort of figure out how things work in the car. Because right now, if we were in a rainstorm, if it suddenly started pouring down rain, I would be a little anxious. Yeah, because I wouldn't know how to get the windshield wipers in place. And in trying to drive in an environment like that, you're going to be a little panicky.
What do you think about like I was mentioning in your car, like the interior materials, like on the door panels and
Very
things?
nice.
Like if you feel down at the bottom by the speaker grill, you can feel how squishy it is on the bottom of the door there.
Yeah.
Like just kind of an elevated level.
Oh yeah. Like it is definitely a more considered material setup. Like we want things to just feel good no matter where you're looking, no matter where you're touching.
Mm-hmm. So while we're heading back here, give me your 3 things that you like about this car better, and then 3 things that you like about your car better.
I do think you're right. You got to give it to the materials. They're just nicer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to say. Like the leather feels, well, not leather.
Vegan leather.
Vegan leather feels nicer than the leatherette in the Ioniq 6, where they even use it. Because in a lot of places it's just kind of cloth, or it's plastic. Yeah. I think I prefer the steering. The steering feels more solid. I wouldn't say that it handles better necessarily. This does feel lighter. Mm-hmm. Like it feels like a little bit more cohesive, put together in some places, but I don't think I've had enough time with it to be able to say it handles better. I guess that would mean that number 3 has to go to the software then. If you care about having something that performs well, something that you can use it to its fullest extent. Like in the Hyundai, if I'm charging, for example, and if I'm going to be there for a little while, 20 minutes, whatever, but like I'm going to listen to the radio or listen to a podcast or whatever. Tesla's obviously got many more options in that department, and you're just going to overall have a better time.
Yeah, the Netflix, the Hulu, the games,
Right.
And the extensive network. Like that's something we haven't even touched on really, is the charging speed. I'll let you get to your things you prefer on your car.
Yeah.
But charging speeds, this 170 kilowatt peak, yours about 250 kilowatt peak thereabouts.
Sure.
So if you were to go up to the all-wheel drive Tesla, you would get that same number. The thing you don't get is the NACS.
Yeah.
You get that on the Tesla. Obviously, that's their standard port. And all these companies are now adopting it also. Right. But you don't yet have that.
No.
So you're a little bit limited on the different charging things you can actually go to. On average, like when you have had to go charge it quickly, how's that experience been for you?
I generally just use Electrify Americas because they are, I think, the best in terms of availability, in terms of reliability, and that's not even saying something really, because even Electrify America has its issues. It's generally a pretty good, pretty short experience. I usually get from 20% to 80% in 20 minutes.
Okay.
And that's perfectly fine with me.
Yeah.
With the lease that I have, I've got 2 years of Electrify America for free.
That's huge, yeah.
30-minute charging sessions, which is really all that you need. So I haven't had to pay for charging, but once when there wasn't an Electrify America station.
Right.
But that's something that Tesla does have the advantage on, is that the Tesla network is more widespread, more available, probably more reliable than anything sort of third party would be.
When you put your destination into this navigation, it is not going to direct you to where you're just topping off.
Right.
It's going to hover you in that 20 to 80 range.
Right.
And just have you using the peak charging curve
Yeah.
to get up to 80% or 60%, whatever it's going to take to get you to the next charging station.
Yeah.
So you're charging station hopping until you get to your destination. That's how you travel.
Super smart, well considered.
People go, oh, well, it only has 270 miles of range. Like, I can't get to Florida and back.
Right.
And it's like, well, of course not. It times out your drive so that you're hitting your best possible charging and getting to the destination as quickly as possible.
It's something that only Tesla can do cohesively because they own the cars,
they own the
charging stations, they know where everything is and can guide you there using kind of the optimum strategy.
So now that we've given the 3 things that you like about my car better, hit me with 3 things that you prefer about the Ioniq 6.
I think the Ioniq 6 is more fun to drive.
Yes.
I think it is.
But would you say that about the all-wheel drive?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
It's very possible that.
Because maybe you would think that the Ioniq 6's rear-wheel drive is less fun to drive than this rear-wheel drive. Maybe.
Very well could be true.
Yeah.
I still like the look of the Ioniq 6 more. I think, especially on the outside and on the inside. Like, I think there's a lot to like about the inside of the Tesla. But part of that minimalism is it does make it feel a little bit like you're in a car that doesn't have anything in it but a tablet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true on some level. And if you were looking for more than that, I think, out of a vehicle, and that's something that maybe I am, that this is kind of all you get.
Yeah.
And that's a little disappointing, I think. Not to say that that isn't the preference of some other people. It's just not mine.
I think that's one of the things that I like the most, which obviously I didn't mention it, but I think I said it in my full review of this car. If you guys haven't watched that, I'll have it linked in the description. But I said that getting into this cabin is relaxing to my brain because there's just nothing to look at.
Yeah.
And there's not 1,000 buttons, there's not 3 stalks, and I'm kind of crapping on the Ioniq 6 a little bit. The 3 stalks, there's not a million dials, there's not touch capacitive, some physical, some touch capacitive. It's just, if you need to find something, it's going to be here, or it's going to be on these 2 little pads, and that's it.
I think a big part of what I appreciate after having driven this is how much the Ioniq 6 feels like a car than this.
Okay, what does this feel like to you?
This feels a little bit more in the spaceship territory.
Okay.
And I think for some people that is a huge selling point. But I'm also very attached to, like, I've driven, and we've both driven, a lot of different types of cars. And I think there's something to be said for the ability of a manufacturer to stay within those bounds, but be able to exercise creativity. It's almost like these are the rules. Like this is the checklist of things that a car has to have. And Tesla has kind of thrown out that checklist.
Sure.
They said we don't need all these things. Some of them you do need. Like you need 4 wheels, you need pedals. Maybe. Who knows? You don't need a gear shift really anymore. Whereas I feel like Hyundai has stuck with that checklist. Hyundai has said, okay, these are the things that we have to have because people expect them in cars.
It'd be worthwhile to discuss the smartphone integration.
Sure.
Because like that's a huge selling point in 2024 for vehicles.
Yeah.
So like the BlueLink app, correct?
Yep.
What's your experience with that? What functionality do you get for free?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of features does it actually have?
I like the BlueLink app a lot, actually. I don't use it a whole lot because I don't really need to. There's a good amount of stuff in there. I can unlock, lock, remote start, that sort of thing. You can check charging status.
Sure.
Kind of the basics, I guess, but not anything more than what I need, or not anything less than what I need.
Like preheat the car, cool the car?
Yes.
Locate the car, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
It'll send me a notification if I've left the doors unlocked.
Great.
But it's funny that it does that and not just lock the doors.
Yes, yeah. It doesn't have proximity locking to where you walk away and it locks up.
Yeah. What do you think about the Tesla app? What is it got going on?
The Tesla app is incredible.
The best app.
The best app. I would venture to say that pretty confidently.
Wow.
I haven't used every app. I've used most of them. I've used the Volkswagen HardNet app. I've used Subaru's Starlink app, which is actual ass. I've used GM's My Chevrolet app.
Yeah.
And Tesla just kills it far and away. You can preheat the car, you can cool the car, every control is available. You can heat the seats, you can cool the seats, you can heat the steering wheel, all from the app. It shows you your location, it shows you all of your charging stats, it shows you a history, all your charging history, and it shows you what percentage you charged at home, what percentage you charged at an actual charging station. It has a live camera feed for every single one of the cameras, including this interior camera. You can view it all in the app when you're not in the car.
Wow.
Obviously, you can lock, unlock, open the back gate, open the frunk, open the charge port. There's pretty much nothing you can't do on the app.
Yeah.
Which you just can't say for most other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also lets you do things like when they were available, you could do like the smart summon, They haven't brought that back yet since they switched to Tesla Vision only. Overall, I mean, the app is just, I think, one of the best parts of Tesla.
Yeah.
Not to mention that you have the ability to send people virtual keys. So like when I reviewed my uncle's Model Y, for example, instead of him giving me his physical key or his key card, he just transferred a key to me. His car popped up in my Tesla app along with my car.
Super cool stuff.
I mean, that's...
Yeah. Well, and then you can imagine all the places that Tesla could go with that. Like
ride sharing.
Ride sharing. you just pick up a Tesla
Mhm.
because you sign up, they send you the key, you get in, and you're good to go.
You drive it, you drop it off, you get out, they disassociate you
Yeah.
with the thing. Yeah, absolutely. All that's great.
Super smart.
Not to mention there is a screen in the back. We didn't talk about that.
Oh, yeah, look at
So we switched back real quick, and did you see that? That little
Oh,
auto adjusting
it's
where you,
good stuff.
I mean, you just buckle in, you tap, it moves everything to my set position. It logs in my Spotify, my Apple Music, my Apple Podcasts, and then I just tap the brake, and then I just drive. That's unbeatable.
It's pretty good stuff. It's smart in a way that a lot of manufacturers don't think to be smart.
Yeah, we hit on it a little bit, but I wanted to talk about the like autopilot versus highway drive assist. And obviously, I think it goes without saying that Tesla kind of has the edge when it comes to driving assistance if you're talking FSD, which not everyone has, and you either have to pay $12,000 up front for, or you pay $199 a month for.
Right.
Whereas Highway Drive Assist 2 is free, right? And you can use it on highways or you can use it on side roads, you know, right, for the most part.
It'll depend on the side road. I haven't done it too much apart from highway driving, but the highway driving is really, really good when it works.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Occasionally there are sensor issues, especially in the rain. If
Yep.
it's particularly rainy, it will cut out every so often. But when it works, it's great. It's not bouncing between lanes. It's
Sure.
doing about what you would expect for any sort of highway driving. It'll do lane changes if you
Yep.
indicate that you'd like to change lanes. It'll do it. The adaptive cruise control works right alongside of any sort of lane guidance, so that it
Yep.
does feel a lot like, at least when you're in a highway context, that it is driving itself.
Yep. And that's kind of what Tesla has. So it breaks down to kind of three things. You have traffic aware cruise control, and autopilot comes standard on every Tesla. And then you can pay $6,000 for enhanced autopilot system, which is what I have. I didn't pay for it. I just got the full self-driving, but I don't have full self-driving yet. I just have all the features of the advanced autopilot. So that gives you navigate on auto steer. So if I'm in, let's say I'm on a highway and I put in a navigation point, it will do what you're saying. It'll change lanes to get, out of the way of stuff. It
Right.
will take me off exits. It'll do that. It'll take you off exits automatically. So some of that stuff is really cool.
Pretty cool stuff, yeah.
But I've also done full self-driving in my uncle's Model Y, and that is just amazing. And it's pretty amazing on a Model Y that has version 11. I can only imagine how good it'll be when we get up to version 12. But autopilot, it's basically that combination of, like you said, adaptive cruise and lane centering.
Yeah.
And it does a really good job. It doesn't bounce at all, doesn't ping pong. It just sticks you straight in the lane. It keeps you away, and it will come to a complete stop and speed back up. Complete stop, speed back up, which not all the adaptive cruise control systems do. But I use this on my way home from work on side streets. I use this on highways. Okay, there it is. Apply slight turning force to the wheel. But yeah, it does a really good job. As you can see, like, it's applying turning force, but it's keeping me almost dead center of this lane. One other thing that I wanted to just quickly mention is our battery types are different on our cars, right? So you have the larger 77 kilowatt hour battery on your all-wheel drive, whereas I have a smaller 60 kilowatt hour battery, I think is what it is. But mine is an LFP battery, so it prefers to be charged to 100% every time. So between this rear-wheel drive and the long-range all-wheel drive, which only prefers to be charged to 80%, you basically get the same range.
Yeah.
I think we should quickly hop into just each of the back seats and just see, spacing-wise. I already know yours is going to kill it, but just talk about some of the features back there. But we did our test drive, so let's get back there.
Absolutely. It's looking kind of tight in here.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
If there's enough leg
We're
room
going
for you.
iPhone, so we can get that extra space. But the thing I think I noticed the most is like the under-seat foot room.
Yeah.
It just
It's
doesn't
not there.
exist.
It's not
It
there.
doesn't exist.
I mean, it's nice because you feel really cozy.
Oh yeah, it's compact.
You're tucked.
So what do you think, like, just overall first impressions back here?
It's honestly, it's not bad. The full pano sunroof contributes a lot to opening things up. Materials are nice. The vegan leather feels great.
What about the screen? What are we thinking here?
Is it as nice? Does it have a protector on?
Yeah, the screen protector's on it right now. And you can auto adjust this seating position.
Oh, that's handy.
can turn your heated seats on for outboard passengers. You can watch Netflix, YouTube. Even when the car's driving, you can watch those. And you've got games back here, and you can play music. You know.
Pretty cool stuff. It's nice.
What about the pockets? Let's turn this on.
Oh.
Kind of an interesting design.
Yeah, I don't love it. Materials are nice.
What about the little hooks and lights up there?
Wow.
And the lights are touch capacitive.
All right. There's a lot to like. It feels considered. It feels like they put thought into it.
It is a little
It's
on
the backseat of a sedan.
little on the crampy side, but again, you know, you're how tall?
5'8".
5'8". Okay, you're 5'8". You've got, I mean, even in a normal sitting position, I mean, you've got what, like probably 5 inches of leg room. I'm 6'1", so I have a little bit less, but I mean, it's still like this seat. Obviously, you can move it up, like I said, so you can move it up a tad if there's no one sitting there. But you know, if you're ride sharing or something,
Right.
And yeah, let's hop over to yours. So I mean, just right off the rip, I mean, it's like
You could throw a party back
you
here.
really could. I mean, it's honestly next level. But like I said, when we were outside, it's the trade-off, right? Do you want more passenger volume or do you want more cargo volume?
Right. To me, and I think in a lot of cases, unless you're driving around 4 people, passenger volume can be cargo volume.
Yeah, true.
If you're bringing back furniture or something, why not just sit it in the...
put the seats down or just put it back here. But I mean, look at this. Look at this space. I mean, that's got to be, what, 10 inches, 8 inches of room there. And I mean, you can tuck your feet up under. You've got vents back here, USBs. While you have a lot of space, and I think the kind of airiness of the backseat helps, you know, not having that glass come all the way back. It makes the cabin feel a little bit more cavernous up top. Yeah. But I mean, the door materials, they're still the same quality like I talked about up front. Some vehicle manufacturers, they give you a really nice front door, and then they cheap out on the back doors, and you know, you get a little bit of nothing. But this has some pockets here, pockets here. They have what they consider a cup holder down here. But unless you're putting one of those really thin, like a monster or something, you know, like you're not gonna be fitting anything back here. So you're gonna have to rely on these bad boys right here. All right, so we took a look at the exteriors. We hopped inside. We took them both for a test drive. So in closing, I just want you to tell me, after you've been in something that's nice, why did you pick a Hyundai?
You know what? Honestly, I think it's because I just wanted that was fun to drive.
Okay.
I wanted something that, you know, I got in it and I was like, it doesn't matter what else is going on, I'm having a good time. I just love the look of it. I think there aren't a lot of other vehicles out there that look as good, as cohesive, as thought out in the EV space as this one does. Yeah. Model 3's up there though.
Yeah.
It's up there.
Especially with this redesign.
Oh yeah.
I think the redesign's really, I like the previous gen, but I think what attracted me, pricing is very affordable, like I said, at the $39,000. It's just something about the marriage of the minimalist design and the technology that you just really can't beat, I don't think.
Yeah.
And
I would totally agree.
And not only that, but the ever-evolving state of it, which has its pros and cons, because sometimes they take things away that people really like. But for the most part, the fact that I can wake up one morning and get in my car and some major component of the, entertainment center or the way the lights work or whatever can just be completely new and better. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I'm the type of person that goes into my app store and auto updates my apps. Like I want the newest
You're reading
thing.
the change logs.
Yes,
You're
exactly. Yeah. And I think for people that read the change logs, you gotta get a Tesla because they do that better than anyone. Whether you love it or hate it, that ever-evolving system combined with the overall design being beautiful and the obviously minimal cabin and a super comfortable cabin, as we've seen. Yeah. So, well, Colin, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, subscribe down below so you don't miss every single new video, and we'll see you in the next one.